clinical trials are the game changers. There are many lives, the patients, the families, that are transformed by that possibility. You realize that how the process was designed does not fit your actual life. It's very complex to keep on going. RealiseD has the opportunity to do this adapted design in a way that it fits the context of rare diseases, escalating technology, and in co-creation, in being part of the game. Clinical trials need to be transformative for rare diseases, and RealiseD has that possibility now. Well, I'm Inês Alves, I'm Portuguese, I'm mother of 3. One of my children has a rare bone disease called achondroplasia. Her name is Clara. And I've been trained as a veterinary doctor many years ago in another life. And when I had Clara, I needed to shift my life at the professional level, and all my work and dedication also shift, because it didn't make any sense for me to keep on going to do something that I was not passionate about. And while the diagnosis was very complicated to deal with, I became totally passionate to learn more, do more, and contribute to a change. There are thousands of rare diseases, and it's very impactful to see that the majority, the vast majority, has no studies ongoing, no trials ongoing, no research, and clinical trials are the step to test a new possibility, a medicine or a device that can actually improve life of people. And knowing that just 5% as a treatment or something that minimalizes the disease, it's very impactful. So clinical trials are the game changers. And when we have the possibility and to see that there is a potential clinical trial for a specific diagnosis, that it's not just one plus disease that has an opportunity. It's more than a number. There are many lives, the patients, the families, that are transformed by that possibility, because there is hope that will bring an improved life. Although it entails a lot of time, a lot of efforts, and most clinical trials are really not prepared to deal with the reality of rare diseases. So although clinical trials are extremely important for rare diseases, they need to be transformed. Otherwise, we are just living on the surface of the expectations and results and not having enough deliverables on treatments and better quality of life. Being in a clinical trial, it's not just yourself. If you are an adult in a clinical trial, most of the times you have to be taken there, you have to fail your work, you have to miss days with your family. If you are a parent with a child, and the child is at school, the child misses school, the parents miss work, there is no support for that. There is the challenging of doing very different clinical evaluations. Most entail X-rays, blood withdrawals. Many children struggle and adults with all the examinations. One full day in an hospital, very often. numerous evaluations and exams. It's very burdensome, it's tiring, it's expensive, and they take a lot of time. And people may not see the results of that clinical trial immediately. And it's very demanding. And when you have all those demands over lack of results, or very hard side effects, or incompleteness of information, or you realize that how the process was designed does not fit your actual life, it's very complex to keep on going. RealiseD has the opportunity to do this adapted design in a way that it fits the context of rare diseases. We are in the era of personalized medicine, on individualization of treatments, and clinical trials still are planned and drafted in a very similar way that fit 500 people when you are planning a phase 2, but do not fit a rare population that has very specific needs and very specific outlines. And it's drastically important to do a transformation. It's not just building up on existent minimal changes. Clinical trials need to be transformative for rare diseases, and RealiseD has that possibility now. If you take all the expertise that is considered to enter a project, it's like building a house. And I use the example of architecture. You can have the most wonderful architect thinking about the house, the planning, but you need a really amazing engineer. You need workers to start building. You need the plumbers to make sure that the house is not just 4 walls. You need to have electricity, and you need to have the experts, the electricians, to make sure that at night the house has light. You need all those experts. Otherwise, you have just either an idea, either 4 walls, or nothing else. So to have a transformative project, to actually have clinical trials that are designed in an adaptive way for rare and ultra-rare diseases, you need to build from the beginning with all the experts that are needed, and that includes patients. Clinical trials in a near future need to be delivered and worked over AI, digital tools. They have to be adapted and methodologically changeable. They have to consist on the data collection that is led by patients, that is accomplished and translated together with patients. Patient organizations need to have a stronger input on clinical trials, because it's the structure that patients relate to directly. You have the clinical settings, but you have the patient organizations that deliver the complementary information that the clinical assets deliver. So having a more robust clinical trial for patients in a recent future needs to be in the future, needs to acknowledge the technology that exists, facilitating access. One of the major challenges of clinical trials is getting access to the clinical trial. People are scattered. So if you use digital tools, you facilitate the proximity of care and entering and giving your data for the clinical trial, for a major goal. And that improves also the quality of your life during the experience of a clinical trial, because quality of life is so wide, and it's in that process, in that experience. So escalating technology and in co-creation, in being part of the game is what I see and hope to see in clinical trials in 2030 or 2040. We are getting there slowly, baby steps, but expectant with that.